There are few American cities with a greater reputation for social tolerance than San Francisco. Yet its large Asian population would not agree. The Chinese, Japanese, Filipinos, and Samoans living here have suffered from the same pattern of exclusion that has characterized white America's relations with blacks in the South and Mexican Americans in the Southwest. One of Glide's current efforts is the Asian Coalition, an organization designed to create a sense of common identity among Asians so that they can speak with more authority. The question of identity has reached crisis proportions among young people who are trying to upset the long-held view that all Asian Americans are docile and contented.
But how do you tell this to the outside people where they have all these stereotypes of us? How do you break these stereotypes?
I think part of the biggest problem is that, we ourselves have met the stereotypes that they give us. You see, and that the example of being passive, again, the impact of racism. Passive, cute little girls, and us gentlemen, man, kind of the laundryman image, the waiter, the waitress type of thing. I think the thing that really bothers me the most is really the impact of the racism in our community, and that we submerge our hurts, our fear, and this is why a lot of our people are not able to speak out and say how they or express what they really feel because of their fear. Mm-hmm. What would happen to them? Would they lose their jobs? Would they lose their positions? And this is the sort of thing that we have to express to our people, that you shouldn't be afraid, be visible. And this is why, in some respect, we're not getting our part of the, so-called war on poverty money. Part of it is that we don't let people know that we have problems.
But Tony, how can people come out feeling dignified and not afraid if all they can see is their people of their own race being dishwashers, laundrymen, and not at any visible jobs that have any dignity? Employment has played such an important role in stereotyping the Asians.
Mm-hmm. We went down and met with the United Bay Area Crusade Board about 2 weeks ago it was. And after we made a presentation to them, and there were lawyers, there were ministers, there were social workers and teachers and professional people there. And after we made a presentation, and the president stood up and he said, "Thank you for a very good presentation." And if it's sort of like a grade school class, one student made a report, and the teacher said, "Yeah, good little boy, you made a good report." Mm-hmm. And they weren't listening at all. Yeah. You see, I was just wondering the dilemma of educating a larger community, how best we can do it, and whether in relationship to our own problems, you see, where is our priority? Where should we spend the time? Become a very serious problem.
Education comes on many levels. For example, if the President of the United States is not sensitive to his people, which is a large percentage is Orientals and Asians, mm-hmm. his friend, Lieutenant Kelly, made such a terrible blow to the Asian community because it showed to the Asian that he did not feel the Asians were people right. That they had a right to kill the Asians. If they did that in Germany, it would be something else. Mm-hmm. But because they were Asians, Lieutenant Kelly was just very nicely dismissed. Mm-hmm. And that really angered a lot of Asians.
Yeah. Well, UAC, United Asian Community, in a sense, it's not just happening here in San Francisco. As I travel up and down the West Coast, in Seattle, in Los Angeles and San Diego, mm-hmm. Coalitions are building up. The Asian American social workers are getting together. The Asian American clergymen are getting together. Mm-hmm. You see, there's something more important, something more urgent right now in our society than dealing with other privileged things like, transcendental religion or communes, or at a point I get very turned off with ecology. You see, when there's so many people are really suffering, and people are tripping somewhere else.
We read in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, "There are many kinds of service, but the same Lord. And there are different ways of working, but the same God inspires all of them. For all of us participating in this revolutionary community, there is but one common task which should engage our various gifts, many kinds of services, and different ways of working. Our chairman Jesus, in Luke chapter 4, calls us to participate with him in this task, to preach good news to the poor, recovering of sight to the blind, recovering of sight for those blinded by the disease of racism, so they can clearly see both the oppressed and the oppressor here and in all parts of the world. And
The Bible as a revolutionary message. Jesus as the chairman of the revolution. The style of the Glide community is not only revolutionary, but revolution-minded. Although for most people here, revolution is no more than a hip word for social change. Glide is a catalyst for people who want to reject the system, but have found no alternative. Through Glide, people find alternatives in projects, or simply in the company of others who feel and think as they do.